Good morning, traders and investors around the world, and welcome to Wednesday's edition of premarketinfo.com, where we prepare you for the most important hour of the day, the first hour. Dennis, SPU's got a pop right off that 4:30 open. Traveled as high as 1268, but we're pulling back now.
Yeah, pulling back here, Joe. They couldn't keep it up today, so we're basically flat right now. Fair value actually is up a couple bucks, so right now we're trading almost perfectly flat when we're trading at 1256.5.
Okay, 1268. That exceeded Monday and Tuesday's high by a couple points. If that holds, we have a downside target of 1241.50. The Globex low currently stands at 1254.75, made that very early in the session. This 1255 area is extremely key for the market today. You have Monday and Tuesday's close there as well as a daily pivot. So real good swing number right in the middle of the range, something that you can get a play off early in the session. Moving on to the Big Ten, Dennis, kind of a weak day in Apple yesterday. Didn't even get near Monday's high, making a high at 394.63, closing near the bottom of its range at 390.95. Low 389.38. I would look for a breakdown if we got below that level. We did have a tight range in that stock, and usually after a big move and a consolidation, you get a pretty good breakout in Apple.
Yeah, stock looks tired to me, Joel. It's had, quite the bounce here. From that 400 area where we sold off last month, we've got back, almost the whole thing when we got to 396 there, the other day. So stock looks tired. It had a little bit of relative weakness yesterday, so it wouldn't surprise me if it did show a little bit more relative weakness. I still think now bounces maybe are meant to be sold on the stock.
Okay, ExxonMobil did make a new high for the move, getting up to 81.64, just shy of that 82.20, which was a high in October 27th. Came back to settle at 80.82. Tight range in that stock as well yesterday. Major support is looming at that 79.50 level. Minor support at yesterday's low at 79.80, but can't really look for a breakdown in this stock until we can get below that 79.50 level.
I still like this $80 overall, just from a whole number psychological perspective. If it was to pull back there, I might try a long off that area. We're trading 80.88 right now, so we're 80 cents away from there. Breaking out, we start to get above that 82, and that's where we could start to go into breakout mode.
Okay, IBM having its highest old-time close here at 192.94. Potential double top there, folks, for IBM. Monday, Tuesday's high, 193.53 and 193.61. Rarely do you see, for $190 stock to see two highs in that close of an area. So good reference point at IBM. Coming on the downside, we also have a real good reference point as well. Monday, Tuesday's low, 6 cents apart. So below that 190.32 level, we got some real estate on the downside.
Yeah, that 190.32. Actually, so I got a double bottom, basically a double top area, kind of looking at that from the last couple of days. So, maybe that's the range you play it on again. Remember the whole number theory. If we start to move higher, you see a little resistance at 194. I even see a little bit of size forming, probably a little more at 195. They always slow down by those new whole numbers when they're making new all-time highs like that. So just keep that in mind if it starts to make new all-time highs.
Okay, Microsoft just consolidating here between the 25.50 and 25.80 level. Took out Monday's high only by 7 cents and couldn't get quite close to Tuesday's low. This stock is just kind of stuck here. Look for a move above this 25.87 level to the 13-day high at 26.06. And take out this 25.50 level. I'm looking for the lows from the end of last week at 25.14 to 25.20.
Wow, is that thing ever in a tight range, Joel? 25 cent, 26 cent range yesterday. It's just, almost looks like it's gearing up for a move. But, you got some resistance at 26, and then you come back down, and 25 area is great support, but I don't know if that's going to come into play here or not. Just so tight. Still keep an eye on Apple. Apple's going to be your leader on a stock like this. If Apple goes to turn, it wouldn't surprise me if Microsoft started to fall off as well. So I'd use Apple, as your leader on this stock.
Okay, Chevron Corporation took out Monday's high by 73 cents, making a high of 104.73. Actually trading pretty close to that number right now in the pre-market, trading at 104.52, so good resistance there. After that 104.73, you might have the whole number there at 105, but I don't see any real good resistance after that if you're short to that level and it gets through it. Coming back on the downside, what a tight range in this stock yesterday, basically a 2-point range. Not much under the close here, 104.36, until you get down to Tuesday's low at 102.84.
I do see a little bit of size starting to form at 105, 30,000 shares there, so that's not enormous, but it's enough where you got to take note of it. And from a technical perspective, that 105 itself was support a couple of times, may become resistance here. So note that 105 area. We start to break above the 105. Then it starts to look a little bit better, but maybe again some initial resistance at 105.
Okay, J&J been making a series of lower highs since last Thursday. Got up to 64.25 yesterday and couldn't hold that. Got up to 63.95 yesterday and 64.25 was Monday's high. So getting to form a wall there at 64. Coming back on the downside, we're trading above the close. That should be mild support. But the better support comes in at Monday's low at 62.85. Not a lot going on in J&J, Dennis.
No, we got a lot of these stocks that look like they're just tightening up here, and whether we're gearing for a move to the upside or a move to the downside, but definitely seems like something eventually is going to happen here with a number of these stocks. What we really had happen, we sold off for the majority of last month, rallied late last month, obviously, and now all these stocks are starting to really look tired to me. So, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking rallies are meant to be sold to. I'd use yesterday's high, 63.93 as the initial resistance. Called out the whole area $64. I think you'll find some sellers in there. We know there's major sellers up at 65. So for whatever reason, if stock ever rallied and, getting into the high 64s, I think it's a great opportunity to sell. But, I just don't think it's got enough gas to get there. So that's why I'm maybe selling it a little bit sooner than that.
Okay, we'll roll the tape from yesterday in Procter & Gamble, that $500,000 up there at 65. Really put a lid on it there yesterday, Dennis. It got up to right to that level, but couldn't hold, printed there a few times. On the other hand, coming back on the downside, 64.45 to 49. You have the high frequency guys perhaps bringing their bids, putting some bids there and scalping this market. Is this thing ever going to trade 65.01 or 60 or 64, 40?
I don't know, Joel. The $65 guy obviously just stays there. So, and I'm going to limit my comments because I have a trading position in there. And if your listeners are listening to our show every day, you know probably which side of the stock I'm on because I've been talking about the 65 area for quite some time.
Yeah, I hope that 65 seller doesn't listen to our show and, come here and take us out. But, he's there. He's displaying his order. He probably could have sold $500,000 at 63.90 or 64.95, if he just spread his orders out. But hey, that's not for us to tell him. He's the one that's long $500,000, so he knows a little bit more than we do. Moving on.
True enough.
Moving on to, AT&T. Okay. I'll just roll the tape from this one yesterday. Monday and Tuesday's high bumping right up against each other, and the lows. So let's look for a breakout here. AT&T above 29.32 or below that 29 level. I think you get a look to the downside.
Don't get too excited on that 29.32 breakout though, Joel, because 29.5 will provide initial resistance as well. So this stock looks thick when you start getting above the 29, 35, 40 area. We've had a heck of a run. We were topping out early last month at 29.5, sold all the way off to our support at 27.5. We're coming back. We're getting into the top of that range. Would say sell the 29.5.
Okay, GE, the beneficiary of a Bernstein upgrade yesterday, had a strong day. Took a peek at that $17 level, but was rejected, making it high at $16.92 before closing at $16.72. It's good to go to the north on this stock, as long as we stay above $16.47, which was Tuesday's low. Below that level, I'd be looking to the lower 16s, perhaps the Monday's low at 16.18. So, new range in GE.
16 to 17. It didn't quite get to the 17 level. Those high frequency guys probably putting a lid on it and topping out at 16.92 yesterday. So, use that as resistance again. Call the 16.90 area to 17 major resistance. Obviously I don't know about. I think you got to go all the way back down to 16 area to really find major support, Joel.
Okay, Coca-Cola, just like the J&J, has been making a series of lower highs, starting out last week in the mid 67s. The stock came down to make a high yesterday only at 67.19. So that 67 area is really becoming major resistance now. You have a 66.68 close, so your first shot there at that number if you want to short it. May get an opportunity early in the session. Minor support at this 66.14. But I really like the 65.88 number, which was Monday's low.
I do have a trading position on Coke as well, so I'll limit my comments there too, Joel.
Okay, just going back to S&Ps here, we kind of have a slow melt here. We did finally take out that critical 1255 swing area, making it low at 1251 and a quarter. Keep an eye on Tuesday's interday low, which was 1252 even. But keep an eye on that 1255 level, folks. We got to get above and hold that in order to look for a rally. Well, we're going to take a quick break here, get a word in from our sponsors, and we'll be back with many of our market movers.